Madness, boys. How we doing? First weekend of March Madness is in the books. We are down to 16 teams. As of Tuesday, we had 68 to 16. This is why people love this shit. How are we feeling with the first weekend officially done? Did you even watch it? Let's just start there. Did we even watch March Madness this weekend? The whole country was. Did you three? Well, I did, of course. Go Hatters. But did you three?
Well, you know my answer, Ryan. I watched it with you.
James, I'm not sure if you were watching or snacking, dude. So.
No, I wasn't really watching.
Okay.
I wasn't really watching. What game did we even watch? It was like some Bears versus some Wolves.
The Wolfpack of NC State, my national champion pick, which is questionable to say the least, versus the darlings of the tournament, the Oakland Grizzlies, and Zach Golke and Trey Townsend. So that was the game we watched. It went down to the wire, James, because it's fine.
Mr. Uber, as you were telling me about.
Uber and Lyft at his previous institution.
Did you hear about this, Kenny? This is actually pretty funny.
No.
Ryan, you know the story. I don't.
I know some of the story, but basically, Johnny, am I saying his name correctly? Is it Golke?
I believe that's correct. Could be wrong there.
Zach Golke, we apologize, sir, if we mispronounced, but basically comes out of the first weekend went from no one knew him to the whole world knows him. They upset Kentucky, which is a blue-collar program. In the first round, he put up 10 threes, 30 points. This man only shoots threes. I think he shot less, maybe like 8 or 10 two-pointers the entire season. So he just hits it and rips it. So he put up 30 points. They upset Kentucky, and then obviously you have 2 days to figure out and research who this guy is, what he's all about, all that, and that's what came out. I think he was a grad transfer, and he played Division II before, and he did Uber and Lyft in his spare time while also playing college basketball. Now, he's on the biggest stage of his life, and in the first game put out a show. Second game still played well, but it wasn't 10 3-pointers, 30 points. But yeah, pretty cool story.
Yeah, I mean that's hard to keep up, right? That's pretty cool though. I like those stories. Good for him.
That's what March Madness brings, man.
That's now my favorite team, just because that guy.
This brings the true underdog. Like, we talk about a lot with college football, but March Madness truly allows the big schools versus the little schools, right? And the true David versus Goliath. And a lot of times, David comes out on top, and Oakland was an example of that. So, and then you get all these cool stories about people you probably never would have heard of.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a stage for those people that usually wouldn't get the stage to show up. So, he showed up.
Kenny says he showed up like he knows what happened.
Yeah, I'm going to say right now, if there's probably one sport, actually no, this is the sport that I know the least amount out of everything. I probably know more about like fucking
cricket, curling,
or like ice luging than some random water polo. Like,
all right, James, you saw what Mr. Golke looks like. Jonathan, I know you did as well. Basically, the way I envision him after this weekend
sounds like a great guy.
Instead of Golke, he's Goku. All right, he just went Super Saiyan on Friday on the first round of games. He's got that spiked hair, man. He had his superpowers. Round 1. Round 2, he fizzed out a little bit. But there you go, Kenny. Just compare him to Goku from Dragon Ball Z, and you'll be good to go.
Cheering for him.
He's out of the tournament.
Is it more impressive that he made 10 threes? Is it more impressive that he made 10 threes or he shot 20 in a game? That's a lot.
Is he a tall dude?
I'd say he's...
I feel like the only reason I ask is I feel like a lot of people that shoot like 3-pointers like that, they're usually not the big guys. They're usually just out there fucking balling. And they're usually under the radar. I knew a lot of people that were just like shooting from the 3-point line, but they weren't like the 6'7" dude on the team.
I mean, 6'7" isn't it's tall, but it's not like he's 6'3", Johnny. So he's on the smaller end for or Kenny for size wise. I don't know, John.
Yeah.
I think it's impressive that he shot 20. I think it's the culmination for me. It's that the fact that he doesn't shoot twos. You know he's going to shoot 3, and he's still able to make 10, put up 20 when you know all he's going to do is hang out on the perimeter. And he still was better at it. And again, even in the second game, he still was a respectable outside threat. I think he had 4 or 5. So some of the shots were ridiculous, man. I mean, he's like leaning halfway, double coverage. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot of publicity. Good for him. No, Pat McAfee had him on. That was pretty good.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did he on Friday or day after the first round?
Think so. I think I saw something with him.
No surprise.
What's crazy about that program, Oakland, is they were saying the coach has been there 40 years. That right off the bat is crazy. So you think about the history. He's been there 40 years. They just had their biggest win in his career. So talk about that. One of their other star players, I think his name was Trey Townsend. He was one of their bigs. His dad played there. So kind of living up to the family name. Then you have the story of Golke. Then you have the upset of Kentucky, a blue collar. So I think while they didn't make it out of the second round, they're probably coming out of March Madness with the biggest jump in marketing and publicity. And good for them.
Very good for them. Also good for our good old Stetson Hatters. Love the attire, Ryan Salimos.
Hey, we got to tip the cat or tip the hat. That's the saying this week from our president. We're tipping the hat to the Hatters, man. It was awesome to see, guys. I mean, how'd y'all feel? Even as basketball savants, just seeing your alma mater, the lead up. What was y'all feelings about that?
Yeah, I mean,
that was pretty cool.
Big sporting events like this. Yeah, it helps pump up the name of the university that we all spend so much time at. I mean, no matter what sport it is, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, I think it all goes hand in hand. So, just more notoriety for Stetson. It's awesome. More people know the name.
You want to know what probably is the biggest problem that comes out of all this notoriety? They probably all think it's the Tampa fucking law school. Oh, Stetson. Yeah, I know somebody who went there over in Tampa. No. Sorry, this is DeLand, Florida Central. That's graduate. This is undergrad.
I
get that every time. I get that every time.
I agree with that we get that every time. But I think coming post March Madness, that might have changed because we got a full week of.
We'll see.
You had TNT, you had Shaq wearing the hat, you had these big stations talking about the little city of DeLand, Florida. So maybe leading up to March Madness, I agree, James. I know we've all had that conversation, but hopefully post March Madness, maybe people will give a little recognition to the city of DeLand. Like, hey, I heard about them.
It was cool to hear Shaq talk about it, though. I didn't know. What did he say? They trained over there or something?
Well,
once
they were asking
when he was with the Magic or something.
Asking about all the small schools, and then Stetson came up and he was able to. He was guessing basically where they're located, and he knew that they were in Florida because of what you just said.
And you have to tell us simply what state the school is located in.
Okay, let's go.
It's that easy for you?
No.
No, actually, that was him being like, I'm never going to.
I thought he was like that. All right, he'd do it like
the first school that has clinched, Stetson.
Oh, that's from Florida.
Stetson is in Florida. Wow.
Come on,
Let him
Shaq.
know.
Come on,
Can you
Shaq.
take your IFB out of your ear?
No, we used to do training camp there, so I
Okay. 1 for 1.
Yeah.
Well, he's not far. Isn't he over in Orlando?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was pretty cool to see Stetson on the map. Seeing that logo pop up on an ESPN screen is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Seeing Ryan in complete Stetson University gear right now. The mug, the hat. You look like you're ready for pregame, dude.
No, I would not fly up to Brooklyn and play. I would get God. That would be no. I'm here to support.
That was pretty cool. Cool bunch of buddies going to the game. A few people we knew went to the game.
Yeah.
I was flying to Atlanta on Friday, see a kid, class of 2022, just decked out in Stetson Hatter gear, taking a 6 a.m. flight to Brooklyn to then take a 9 p.m. flight back to Orlando. I was like, this kid, gotta love to see that.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. I think it's cool. We need to, who knows? These little tournament appearances sometimes kind of build a foundation for a program, for a school, gets the alumni buzzing. It was cool to see some of the alumni base and a lot of people we knew at the events for like the NIL collective and whatnot in New York City. I mean, first appearance in March Madness is one thing. First ASUN championship is another. First 20-plus win season since the early, mid-1970s.
Yeah.
Bill Donnie Jones, a statue. Head coach, he's recruiting well. Right guy for the job, clearly. And I don't know, our President Roque, seems to be really big into sports. Obviously, it's cool to see a president that is back in, bringing the energy. Obviously, we got a special place in our heart for President Wendy Libby for bringing Stetson football back, because we wouldn't be here or friends if it wasn't for that. But I don't know. I've just seen a lot of cool things, and the buzz, it's awesome to see. So that's how I approach it. And also, Tracy Wolfson making the announcement in the beginning around the Mad Hatters and the crazy leprechaun chasing the kids and how they need to pivot and change the mascot.
Howdy, Ian. I wanted to introduce you guys to the Stetson Hatters, named after, yes, the Stetson hat. Now, back in 1889, they changed the name from DeLand Academy to Stetson in honor of one of their donors, John B. Stetson, who invented, yes, this iconic hat. What is a hatter? It is someone who makes hats. And who is their mascot? Well, it used to be a 12-gallon hat with big googly eyes, and then it was this Mad Hatter leprechaun that reportedly was running around scaring children, so they had to move on from that. And now it is John B. Stetson himself, and he and the Stetson Hatters are making their first NCAA tournament appearance today.
That was pretty funny. Putting Stetson on the map, talking about a leprechaun chasing kids. Gotta love that.
I can't believe they did the throwback pictures, the black and whites of our previous mascot. That was looking
scary,
questionable on national TV.
Scary.
They could have left that out of the promotion. We would have been okay with it. Just her wearing the hat at the right before tip off would have been enough. But yeah. I mean, it's awesome, man. Like, look,
it's cool though.
Again, perfect example. Like, we haven't talked Stetson in general. We haven't been back to the campus. We can own that in a couple years. Like, this event, even though we're not the biggest basketball fans and even Stetson basketball fans, it got us a reason to tune in, to start talking about it, maybe even bring our interest back to our university. And I'm sure it did that for a lot of freaking people. So excited for next year. A lot of us are talking about it, but Florida Gulf Coast, maybe they have a little run like that where they can make the tournament a couple years in a row, maybe get into a higher seed, maybe their first win. But they've got experience on the bench too, Johnny. Correct me if I'm wrong. Brett Comer, the former Gulf Coast guard, who was a big part of their run in the early 2010s. He was at least this year part of the coaching staff. So, he's been in those big moments, and maybe he can, along with Donnie Jones, can help get him back next year and continue to have success. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, we shall see. Go Hatters. A tough one, though, placing the defending national champs. And, of course, they were still favorited to win this year, which is never fun. I mean, it was tough start to the game. You got to get the cobwebs out.
Yeah,
we were pretty cold, and unfortunately against that powerhouse, you just got to come off a little bit better. But proud of them. Put on a show. Great opportunity to build off of that, and we'll be back for sure.
Did they end up covering?
They did not.
Absolutely not.
They did not cover.
Did not.
they made a run in the second half. Opened up the second half. They came out hot. They made it. They were in contention for the cover. They did not. But like Johnny said, man, it's a tough. You would have loved to see them maybe get Purdue or get like an Arizona.
Oh yeah, I think I remember. I remember some of the sportscasters, sports announcers, whatever they're talking about, leading up to the game, saying that Stetson was their pick for making that Cinderella run. And then once they found out they were playing UConn, they're like, nah, never mind. They're going to lose by 1,000 or whatever it was.
We'll get into UConn, I'm sure, because they got their coaches. He's got it figured out. They don't play down in their competition ever or often. No. So
which is why they were like, Stetson ain't gonna win this. So
big shout out to the.
I think their path to the. Go ahead. No, you're good.
I just say big shout out to our
he deserves a statue too.
He played great, man, and to go out as your last game, Swenson. I apologize again. I'm probably butchering his name. The VW is messing me up. But he played awesome. And that's the way to go out in your last game of your college career on the biggest stage, putting up a performance like that, keeping his team afloat in a sense, like, quote unquote, hats off to him.
They got some size, man.
What's a hatter?
Who, Stetson?
They got some size, which at the Division I level, you got to have size, right? Like, and they got some ball handlers. I mean, they played well. And then Donnie Jones, he's coached at some great schools. He's been part of national championship teams. Go Gators! So it's just cool. It's cool. And I think if there's a program that can continue to take off, it might be the basketball team. Obviously, our baseball team with a couple of Cy Young winners, Jacob deGrom, Corey Kluber. Stetson football, we're continuing to grow, baby. We've got a couple of people in the NFL, which is great. Donald Parham, Donald Payne, we love him. But, yeah, it's just cool to see a men's basketball team that gets the most recognition outside of football at that stage. It was really cool. So, good old 26 and a half favorites.
26 and a half.
It really boils down to the ability to have some university pride, and sports can bring a big spotlight to your university. I mean, look at all these top freaking universities that we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Stetson's never in the conversation. So it's nice to have them in the conversation for once, because that's the university that we went to. That's where we graduated. I mean, Johnny says, go Gators, right? He didn't go to Florida, but, you get that pride because he's got that fan affiliation. So I don't know, it's cool. Hopefully it keeps going so that way we can continue to talk about Stetson, because that'd be nice for us. We can enjoy the university that much more.
I'm just happy.
Yeah, I just love that small schools, especially in baseball and football and basketball, but more basketball and baseball. Like smaller programs at the Division I level can actually have a national presence. Like you see all these not small schools, but mid-sized schools making a run in March Madness. And then baseball, there's a couple of schools out there that do fairly well every year. So good old March Madness. My bracket's now looking good.
We'll get there. Your bracket's okay. You're in an all right spot.
I got the team still in there winning it, so we're good there. But round of 64 was not pleasant.
I'm just happy that the national spotlight we got to ask the question that we asked for 4+ years. What's a hatter? And we got the full history of John B. Stetson on Hatter Nation. We got people wearing hats all across maybe not across the country, but the hats are there. What's a hatter? The question was asked, and I don't know if we got a full answer yet, but it was hysterical and awesome at the same time, just to see that conversation going on in the lead up.
Good times.
All right, John, you want to segue into your bracket, huh? Your TBC bracketology.
We're going to bring these brackets up, huh?
I can bring them up. I'll try to share a screen over here and see how that goes. All right. TBC's brackets. Kenny, how was your bracket submission process? I know that you really spent a lot of time on your bracket, and this rewarded you down there in fourth place at 32%.
Yeah.
So let's start from the bottom. We'll work our way up. How was your bracket submission experience?
Yeah, it went like this. It went. I'm on a plane, right? I'm on a plane, and Ryan texts, "Hey, get this in by 12." And then
At like 10.
at like 10, while I am on the plane, I didn't see that until the next day. Well, I saw it, but on the fine print of Ryan's text, it said, "Get this in by 12." There was another sentence above that, which is like, basically, Kenny and James, can you do this because we need to get these done? And yeah, I didn't see the second part of that. And then auto draft. That's basically it. That's the story. So if you want to see a computer,
Said auto draft.
if you want to see a computer against Jonathan Straw, Johnny wins.
Well, look at the good news. Look at the good news in your auto draft, right? You're in the top. You're third in, right? 32%. It could be worse than that. You know, your champion Alabama is still alive, so we can say that you got a chance. And your Final Four picks are all alive. You still got Bama, you got Illinois, you got Houston, you got Tennessee. So, you know, maybe not the greatest start, Kenneth, but still time for a potential comeback. We'll see.
Great thing we have algorithmic selection. I approve of it. Thanks for computer.
All right.
Even a dumb computer knows more than me.
The good news is Kenny's within 100 points of everyone, and the points only increase as we move through the rounds. Next up, third place, myself, and we got the biggest upset in history coming for the Natty, the NC State Wolfpack, the 11 seed. They ran through the ACC tournament. They've won to get in. They're the only double-digit seed left, and they got Marquette coming up in the Sweet 16, and we feel good about it. So NC State's alive. My Final Four pick, Auburn, though, they are out from the smart guys of Yale. They took them out along with Charles Barkley. We went down in the first round, and in the second round, for some reason, I was liking the 11 seeds, Oregon, and they went down as well. So I got 2 out of my 4 picks remaining in NC State and UNC. So Kenny, I think you're in better shape than me, even though I got the better start. So have some confidence in yourself, buddy. You'll be all right.
Great. I'll keep my eyes glued to the screen.
James LaCama, huge basketball savant. How are you feeling in second place, only 10 points behind John Straw? 67th percentile, buddy.
You know, although I didn't do auto draft, I think I would say, if you remember from maybe our school days and you get a Scantron, I believe I Christmas treed the shit out of this.
Okay.
Nice.
I think, what did I have? Auburn versus Purdue in the championship? Well, that seems to be done.
Yeah. Oof. You have, Auburn, Alabama. So Auburn's out. Purdue, Wisconsin. So you're looking like me with 2 out of 4 Final Four teams. Ballsy pick, I would say, in Purdue, given, you know, you've seen them get upset by the little guy over the years. I think one moment that comes to mind, you were there when the St. Peter's Peacocks took down Purdue a couple years ago, and yet you were feeling confident enough to go back with them. So let's tell us about your pick, Purdue.
All right. Let's be completely honest here. I remember the Peacock win. I was great. We celebrated our asses off when we laid down a huge bet on one of our bachelor parties that we were at. I had no idea they played Purdue.
So there was no strategy there that Purdue was going to bounce back.
No, the strategy was when I grew up with one of my family friends, or I guess what do you call it? People you grow up with. Well, anyways, their dad went to Purdue. So I've always heard about the Boilermakers, and they're not terrible at basketball. So I was just, again, going through Christmas tree like, I know that Big P. Bring them through.
Not the worst
Boilermakers.
strategy in the world, but you're making a pick off people you know. People will make it off mascot, team colors, team names, and I think historically that strategy might even be better than the experts. So, second place, man.
Well, I mean, it was either Purdue or the Indiana Hoosiers, which are they even in this?
I don't believe Indiana made the cut this year.
Yeah, those are the two basketball college teams that I grew up with. So I picked one of them, I guess.
Well, before we go to our lead dog, let's check in on the Peacocks, how they did. Because they did make the tournament again. But if you look down here, there was no Cinderella run to be had. They lost by about, 34 in the first round. So they made an appearance. But
yikes.
Maybe next year for the Cocks.
Oh, hey, they were on our TV, weren't they?
Which one, James? I got like 12 games down here.
The Tennessee St. Peter's, or was it the Tennessee Texas that we watched? That was Tennessee Texas.
Where we needed the under, and we did receive the under hit on that one. So don't worry, buddy. All right. Last but not least,
a lot of red.
Go Hatters. Our leader after the first weekend, Jonathan Strahl in the 74th percentile. Beautiful effort. Jonathan, take us through your strategy to have UConn as your champion. You've got all four of your Final Four teams still available. So you and Kenny looking strong in UConn, UNC, Purdue, and Houston.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to put the better seed to move on. It's that simple. As much as I wanted the Stetson Hatters to win, I definitely wanted them to hit the 26.5. They did not. But we had to push UConn through. Listen, the more brackets you're in, the more you can kind of test the waters and just kind of put some teams in that maybe won't in the other bracket, but you can do it in the other one. Listen, the more reps you take, the better chances you get, and that's my mentality there.
I love that.
Nothing too crazy. I was rooting for Drake, the good old Pioneer Football League.
That's right.
That didn't happen.
Not the rapper.
A lot of people, James, there's a lot of videos out there that people pick Drake because he's a rapper. That is out on the socials.
Good.
I tell you, I wanted to go with Oregon beating South Carolina. I was stuck on that one. I was disappointed. I went with South Carolina, go SEC, but should have went with Oregon. I had my heart pick the Gators to make a run. I believe that bracket, although Marquette is pretty good. I think the easiest way to get to the 8 was there. They got upset in my mind by Colorado. Questionable calls. Won't complain about that too much longer. Love seeing Yale. San Diego State. That was a good one. But, yeah, the more reps you take, the better chance, right? So, we'll see. UConn, number 1 seed, defending national champs. It pained me to pick them. Obviously, starting off with the Stetson Hatters. 1 versus the 16 seed, but here we are.
I think even more painful with Stetson, but I believe the last team to go back-to-back was your Florida Gators, 06-07, correct? Check me on the year. And UConn, with your selection, you're basically saying, hey, come match us because they'd be back-to-back champs. We'll see. But I totally agree with your comment about, well, not I agree, the bracket agrees with your comment about the South being the easiest to get to that path because you had Colorado a 10 seed. You had NC State, Oakland, double-digit seeds. You had James Madison, a lot of upsets in the first round. That Colorado-Florida game, man. I mean, Clayton was your guy's name? Was that the dude who went
Clayton.
Bonkers? And 30 points, they wasted him. But that was a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
You know what? You brought up the smart guys of Yale. It just set up, though, a national championship rematch in the Sweet 16 with UConn and San Diego State next week. So that'll be one to tune in for. I forgot San Diego State made the championship last year. I think I asked that in the boys' chat this week. Couldn't remember.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Johnny, you brought up a point. How many brackets did you submit, man? Practice makes Perfect. I have a feeling I know the answer for Kenny and James, so I'll start with you.
I did a total of 4.
Okay.
Total of 4.
I've got 4 myself.
Total of 4, yeah.
James, yeah, I had a feeling that was coming for James. James, you were our hope for more than one. Kenny, we're well aware of one. Okay. One autopilot.
Just one.
I did chat GPT on one of them.
I don't even know if I would count this as them, to be honest.
You did chat GPT on one?
So maybe like.
I did.
What?
How was that process? You just typed them in one by one, or did you just type in paint a bracket? Like, what was the question asked?
Took a bracket. My buddy showed me how to do it. Put it in there. Good to go. Pretty much, essentially.
How's it doing?
It had UConn, and then who was the other one? Purdue was the second to win it. Favored.
Jeez, James, could you type any louder?
I feel like it wouldn't be able to choose an upset because it just goes by statistical data.
Okay. That's a new way of bracketology, chat GPT.
It's a new way of everything, huh?
Yeah.
Kenny, you should draft your fantasy team next year off of how ChatGPT tells you to do it. Maybe it'll still keep you loyal to.
Is it still auto draft?
It'll still keep you loyal to your quarterback for the good old Buffalo Bills. You'll still get him.
Oh my God!
He's not going anywhere.
Just in case you all were worried, there are no perfect brackets left through the first weekend. I know we all thought we had a chance at it. We obviously got whooped from a percentage standpoint, except maybe John with his 75%. But no perfect brackets remain once again in March Madness. It'll be interesting if we ever see the day that a perfect bracket makes it through March Madness.
Dang, I was really hoping for it.
We can feel it in your enthusiasm.
Welcome to Hot Takes, where we talk about debatable topics. Today's debatable topic is: should college basketball get rid of the one and done rule? To kick us off, Ryan, because you're the biggest basketball fan.
Yes.
John?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to agree with John, and I'll say no.
Oh, well, I'm
James?
with Ryan. Get rid of it.
Me and James, baby. Not sure how I feel about this yet.
Because we're a team, and we're going to be here for more than 1 year.
Great start.
All right, we already won. See you later, boys.
All right, Kenny, why do you think
get rid of the one and done rule? I think that.
Why
do you think
they should get rid of it? One and done.
I think that if they have the talent, they have the talent. I don't think that a rule like this really justifies anything.
Well, the justification was that they can go make some money, and now they have NIL. So
true, but
they're making their money. If they got the NIL deals, they're good. Just play out the rest of the fucking 3 years.
I do think that the NIL deals do throw this for a loop. I did not think about that.
Yeah.
But I do think that throws a wrench in things dramatically for the reasoning behind it. Because at the end of the day, I think that this rule is in place because you're putting money in hands of kids. Like, they're 18, 19, right? They're young. So, and I think that there just is a level of maturity that's aligned to it. So I think that that's why the rule is there. But NIL throws a big wrench in things, to be honest with you, because it basically neglects the entire purpose of this. So, yeah. Does the rule even need to stay in that sense, right?
Did we just get someone to flip?
Well, his partner hasn't even gotten it. I mean, listen, this rule was put into place in the early 2000s, right? You're thinking, like Kobe Bryant, huge name in basketball, went directly from high school to the NBA. So did LeBron. And then I think it was probably mid to late 2000s. I said early 2000s, so I'm contradicting myself. Late 2000s, after LeBron came out, where they made this switch because you were just seeing these 17, 18-year-old kids come in and they were out of the league early, right? They weren't fully developed. But then the rule didn't make sense to just, 1 year in college will be enough. They're not getting the full benefits of college, right? They're not getting a 4-year degree. Now, a lot of them, the great story, Shaq is a perfect example. They go back to college and finish out after their career. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah.
But in the moment, you're there for 1 year. Are you really going to all of your classes? Probably not, because again, the plan coming in is you're one and done. From a physicality standpoint, these are 18-year-old kids. A lot of these one and done teams, Kentucky's the perfect example, burn out in the tournament. They just don't have the size. They don't have the maturity. So is it really benefiting the student at the end of the day with the one and done rule? I don't think so. The individuals that's benefiting are the ones who are staying there for all 4 years. So why make them stay just 1 year?
I think that they need to have the education. I think that one of the biggest, and I understand it's 1 year of education, but I think that one of the biggest statistics that goes in line with this is professional athletes literally blowing all of their money and having nothing left. And I think that they need to have a level of education. I think that 4 years is needed. I think that they need to have a level of education that backs
at least get your AA. Right, that's 2 years.
That would
associate's degree or whatever it's called.
They need to have some level of education to be able to back what happens post athletic ability, right? Like once their athletic career ends, they're going back to college. Why not just do that when you're 18? Get your degree.
On a scholarship.
On a scholarship. Even if it's a 2-year degree, but I think they need to have some level of a degree just to be able to help them maintain a career or a lifestyle post-athletic career. And I think that's probably the most important thing and the biggest reasoning why I think that they shouldn't get rid of the one-and-done rule. But the one-and-done rule, I should be like the two-and-done rule.
Well, then you would get rid of the one-and-done rule and change it. Because you're not getting a degree in 1 year. You're not getting your AAs unless you're coming in with credits. So we agree with you, Kenny. Appreciate that. They should get rid of the one-and-done rule and change it, extend it.
I'm saying no. I'm saying they should modify. They should make it a 2.
Jonathan wants to talk. Hello, John. Welcome to Hot Takes, where we talk about the beta.
So
Kenny's got me doing a bunch of calculations all around my head right now. I don't know what just happened, but Johnny, please step in. Help your team.
We're talking about the one and done rule as if we are guaranteeing this player that goes into college on a full ride scholarship to get their degree is assuming that this person's done once they get their first year. That is not the case for many of these players. When they are at their best, when they are highly recruited, a top 5, top 10 athlete out of high school, they are going to college and they are discovering whether or not they have what it takes to become an NBA player and to get paid and to be the best at what they do. So the college experience, one thing, is allowing them to get exposure from some of the best at what they do. Now, if we want to argue, hey, you should be able to go to the NBA right after high school, that's one thing. If you want to argue one and done rule in college, that's one thing. I think it's all circumstantial because there's not a lot of players that are going to college right now that are truthfully understanding whether or not they have what it takes to go to the NBA. And if they do, who's to say a college needs to limit them? Especially now that the NCAA allows pretty much you're on a 1-year contractual agreement. There's no such thing as a 3-4 year contractual agreement. NIL actually is a benefit to this one and done rule. It now allows student athletes the opportunity to not maybe jump ship after 1 year, to take a risk to go chase a bag of money, and to get compensated appropriately to maybe stay another year or two at the Dukes, at the North Carolinas, where their NIL collectives are a lot better for basketball. On the flip side, I'm going to say this. Let's just take the player out of it. These big-name kids that come to these schools, it's a big economic opportunity for the college. So if this college can get 1 good year out of this kid to maybe make a run in March Madness, to maybe make it to the Elite Eight, the Final Four, NCAA championship, that's bringing in revenue. That's putting money in the coaches' pockets, the alumni, everybody's pockets at the end of the day, which is another area of opportunity. I just don't like the fact that, hey, we're going to limit someone from maybe following their dreams based off quote unquote. We know they're not going there potentially for an education. Like, so be it. It is what it is. What is it? 2 years in college football?
No, 3.
Right? Is it 2 years in college football?
3 years.
3.
Like Johnny Manziel, like whatever. You got like all these players that could have maybe went after a year or two. They could have went to the NFL, and hey, were they maybe built strong enough, fit enough to maybe perform in the NFL? I don't know. We don't know, but that's their decision. That's up to their agents. That's up to their team that they're working with to get them ready. So I'm okay with the one and done rule. Do I love it? No. Do I think it's cool when you got juniors, seniors making a run, that team effort, especially in basketball? If you have a great 5, a great roster that are in sync, you can make a run. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Not saying it's right, but there are a lot of variables to look at. I just don't think it's right to say, hey, you are contracted to a 4-year degree when we know that's not the case. That's not the day of athletics anymore, and it really hasn't been for many, many years.
No, it hasn't, but
How many people actually get recruited after the 1 year?
What do you mean? Okay.
How many people are getting pulled into the NBA after their 1 year of college basketball?
I would say
not many.
I'm trying to look up that stat
but a majority of them are the ESPN top 100, top 500 recruits that they're only going there to check the box, right? So it's a small sample size, but those are the
the reason why I ask that is because you can probably name on 2 hands the people who have gotten pulled from high school, and at least in our generation, because the rule came around, I would say within our generation, that you can probably pull on 2 hands the top athletes that came from high school that didn't go to college. Meaning, and the reason I bring that up is just because, like, the statistics are dramatically low. Like, these are just such a select few that would literally go to 1 year of college and then bounce out of it. Because I think that they get, like on Johnny's point, I think they get to college, they do their 1 year, and they realize they're working in parallel with that division. Like they're not anything super unique. They are placed in a new environment to compete at a different level, and they realize they can compete at that level, but they have to perform at a college level now. And I think that's eye-opening to a lot of athletes. Like if you're in a small town school, right, and you're just crushing it, and then you go to a top 10 university and you start competing with some major athletes, it's going to be a different level of athleticism. And then that's probably going to keep you in that arena for a longer period of time because of the fact that you entered a whole new realm of level of competition. And then now, like when you're in a small town, you were just crushing it. Now you go to this collegiate level where you're performing at the same level of athletes, and it's eye-opening. Whereas if you just skip that whole process and you go to NBA, you're going to get crushed. Like, what's the likelihood if someone goes from high school to NBA and gets crushed? Or that doesn't happen because it just doesn't. The select 3 in the fucking country, are just that good that they do perform. And I think the only thing we can look at is like maybe what, LeBron James? Other than LeBron James, who came from high school and did get crushed in the NBA?
Kwame Brown, Stephen A's favorite person, who I think this might be around the timeline that they instilled the rule. I mean, it's just, I agree with you that in the sense there's not a huge bucket of individuals that are making this jump.
Let me just say this. Let me cut you off. It's like you saying, I'm really good at driving my car, and then you just going into a NASCAR. But you have no other, like you're just taking your car out on a track once in a while at fucking Homestead. And then you all of a sudden just start trying to race at NASCAR. Like there has to be a level of escalation there.
Comparison, Kenny, and I know you're not the biggest basketball guy, so I'll keep it in NASCAR for you. That 1 year of driving experience is really going to catapult me to become a NASCAR racer versus having.
It's going to see if you can
The point is
compete.
the rule's stupid. The 1 year doesn't just remove the year. Let them stay 4 years. Let them stay 2. Why mandate 1 year? It doesn't benefit them. Don't pretend that – we'll get to your hand, Johnny. Don't pretend that you're thinking in the best interest of the students by keeping them in college for 1 year so they get an education. They're not, because you can't – unless they come in credits, they're not. They're trying to give the illusion that we're thinking of the student athletes, which is the whole problem with the NCAA in general, is that's not the case. Go ahead, John.
I think it's because you can't take that step back. You can't go from high school to then go to NBA and then be like, oh, I'm not fit. This is too much of a level of competition. I can't compete. Let me go back to college. You can't take that step back.
You never went to college in the first place.
You think that you can go to college, but you think that someone's going to be pull you back into competing at the college level after you go to NBA? Has it happened?
But isn't there a clause though in like NCAA where if you go professional, you lose your amateurism? Am I wrong?
I would think.
I don't know.
Isn't that like
I have no idea.
Sounds logical, but I don't
I would think. How you can't get pulled back down. You have to
go overseas and play professionally and get paid. Is that just because it's international? Because people will go overseas instead of do their 1 year of college, get paid, and then they'll come play in the NBA after that quote unquote year. Or they'll go to the G League.
That's because you're bouncing to another program. Because basically an overseas program is the same as a collegiate program here.
But it's still professional.
It's seen as the same level. Yeah, not really.
I got a question.
Let's debate. That's a whole nother debate. I can debate on that. I know people that have played at a professional level overseas. It is not a fucking professional NBA level.
You say that to listen, man. Your overseas basketball is catching up.
Yeah, catching up does not mean it's the same as the NBA.
The best
in the United
players
States.
in the world in the NBA today are more and more international. That percentage is raising. So the gap between USA basketball and international is closing. We'll see the Olympics, but want to get Johnny at the last point before we close out. Bye, Ken.
That's a debatable topic. International basketball, right there. Question, Ryan. You made a note or a comment about like going to the college for 1 year. Question, you're a big basketball guy. You follow NBA a lot more than I follow the NBA. I definitely follow college basketball much more than NBA. Could you argue, though, that these players, when they go to a Duke under Coach K, I won't even say Kentucky. It's a sensitive subject. However, could you argue that the coaching and development in college is actually better than maybe the NBA?
For that,
to set them up to then get to the NBA?
Within that 1 year?
Yeah, just curious.
I don't know. I think they get to college, you're a top recruit, you're going to have the staff like fully locked in on your development for however long that is to try to get you to the next level. Where if you in the NBA, if you're a top 10, if you're a first round pick, you're going to get that same type of attention because they've invested money, right? I don't know. I think either way, whether you go directly out of high school or one and done, you look at the NBA and the top picks, it's taking longer for them to make an impact and develop because they're 18, 19, 20 years old. They haven't grown into their body versus you see more mature individuals at that 23, 24 age. They're having a quicker impact on their team because their development's along the way. Whatever path that is, it's just the age and maturity. So I think it could go either way, which is why I don't think the rule of one and done has a lot of impact. It doesn't act in the best athlete, the best interest of the student athlete. So get rid of it and let the student athlete make that best decision for them and their family versus forcing them to do 1 year.
I think it's the best route of escalation. You can't just jump around. And I think that it's the right stairway.
You can now with NIL. You can jump all around.
Yeah, you can.
Well, no, NIL also keeps you in place. It just allows you to get funded at more levels. That's basically it. But It's the right escalation.
Well, here's the
path
thing. Ty's not
for
here. We got no tiebreaker. So
Can I throw in some quick statistics
sure.
though? I was
here's just
I've been
statistics.
quiet
Don't
for
be a
this.
fool. Stay in school.
Stay in school.
Go.
You fool. Stay in school. Interesting enough, the NCAA estimates 4.2% of eligible Division I players were drafted, or get drafted essentially. So out of 1.2% that actually make it pro, that go into the NCAA, which is like 18,000 people that play basketball. I mean, that's crazy. But then when you look at it from, and this statistics is from Amazon, between 2013 2017. I don't know why statistics are always not like completely up to date, but whatever. The average GPA that these guys basically like move on, like when they depart from college, is like 2.68. Only 24% depart from college with above 3% or 3 GPA, 3.0. So you can definitely clearly see that they're not taking the education portion as seriously. I mean, 2.7 is like probably C's, maybe closer to D's. So it's not like terrible, but because C's get degrees, we all know that. But
oh yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting. This is just you're talking about a really, really small percentage when you start like quantifying everything. So the jump from even high school to college, then high school to NBA, or just college to NBA, like it's just the numbers keep dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And I guess the one and done, I mean, kind of comes back to the point of if you can't make it, if you don't make it, at least you have something to fall back on if you stayed back for 4 years or you got developed more as well. I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
It will likely stay.
Ty, call in. Let us know what you think. Break the tiebreaker.
Ty's just waking up right now.
Yeah, for real.
Probably. Only time will tell. All right. We'll close it at that. We're not sure on this debatable topic, but time will tell.
What are the odds of us?
That is pretty crazy, though. That is a crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It could be the lottery.
It's a preposterous number. It's more than $1 billion. It's like the next.
Really?
What is it? Yeah,
I don't even know.
I do know that in 2019, the closest anyone has gotten was a doctor. He got the first 49 games correct. And then, of course, as Ryan mentioned, good old Purdue. They actually came up clutch, though. They actually beat Tennessee in the Sweet 16, which ended his perfect bracket.
Gotcha.
But
damn.
Let's talk about Purdue a little bit because them coming in along. I say this because your typical flops is what I'm calling them. The top seeds that you go into a tournament, like if someone's going down, it's going to be them. I would say Purdue. It's Arizona. I'd throw Duke in there. That those are typically the big schools that get upset a lot. They're there the most, so they have the most opportunity to get upset. But they are holding strong in this tournament. It's the 5th time since 1979 that all 1 and 2 seeds have made the Sweet 16. So, like I said, Purdue the last 3 or 4 years has been a train wreck in the tournament. They are blowing people out. So it's just there's not as much, I guess, of madness as you would expect. There was a lot of madness the first round. You had, I would say, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 double-digit seeds making it out of the first round. But only one, we talked about that, NC State remains as we move to the Sweet 16. So I'm teeing that up as to what do you guys define as madness? Like, is it just any double-digit seed wins? Is it any upset? Or is there a certain level where it goes from, I don't want to say an expectation, but it goes from a nice upset to something you never experienced? Like, do you have kind of a range? Because I was talking to my buddy about it, And his suggestion was 13 seed or later is where he defines it as madness. So I was just curious y'all's opinion on that.
Recording a podcast at 6 a.m. on a Monday. That's what I define as madness.
Good, great.
Sick, dude.
Eastern time.
Help me out here because there's a lack of understanding on my part. They get seeded, right? But you have a 1 through, 16 on each side. So you got 4 of those.
That is correct.
Doesn't mean they're actually ranked that in in the nation because they do different rankings throughout the year,
they
right?
only rank 1 through 25 in the nation. That's publicized
in the nation.
Ranked there.
And do they split the 1 through 25 out based off of, is it region? I don't even pay attention to the brackets. That's why. Like, how does a bracket get formed?
There's a selection committee, basically. Like, I don't know how granular. I'm
Okay.
not gonna say it gets to granular where they don't go down like 1 through 25. You're automatically if you're the number 24
or anything like that
team in the nation, you're automatically a six seed. Or yes, if my math is correct. I don't even know. The point is, no, I'd say outside of maybe the top 8. First and second seeds.
So then the double digits, they're probably sitting somewhere around. They could be ranked anywhere between like 60 or lower, or maybe a little bit higher than that, right? Because how many teams actually get into the first round?
So it wouldn't be 60.
68.
So what, 30 or lower, probably, or higher, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But then I guess any double-digit win, it would be madness, right?
Okay.
I mean, we go crazy when a double-digit in college football beats a single-digit ranking during the year.
I mean, that's true.
I guess that's what I'm making my claim off of. So I don't know. I just don't know how good a single-digit versus a double-digit would have been. That's why I had to get that clarification before I made my determination here. So I would say 10 or higher in seeding would probably be madness, in my opinion. And then I definite madness if it makes it more than 2 rounds.
Okay. So James starts right at the double digits. Kenny, we'll just say that your answer is with James and you're good.
Yeah, I agree.
John, you got any opinions on this one?
I think it's safe to say what your buddy said, but also, the rankings where people are putting the bracket, it's arguable that sometimes they're not the most accurate.
Sure.
I think we saw that the SEC had a lot of favoritism in their rankings this year, and where they were placed in the bracket. To say that people who are taking down, the big SEC school were or shouldn't have been favored, we don't know that. But because of a simple ranking and just the, strength of schedule, I mean, basketball is great. Basketball is awesome because 5 against 5, things can get a little bit different on the court. Somebody can get hot and that can change the game. And we see that time after time in March Madness. And that's what's really cool about the tournament. But I don't know. I think an upset is obviously a little guy taking down a big dog. So double-digit team, double-seeded team versus a lower-seeded team. I think that suffices as a big win and maybe a Cinderella story.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up the SEC as we kind of maybe close this chapter of it, because I believe Greg Sankey made some statement along the lines of the tournament getting rid of the automatic qualifiers, like a Stetson Hatter, winning your conference for those smaller schools and automatically getting into the tournament. And the SEC got their teeth kicked in this tournament. So just very interesting. Maybe some karma that's coming back, but SEC has not performed well. Like you said, maybe just some over-ranking, higher seeding than they deserved. But I'm not sure if anyone wants to see those automatic qualifiers go away, because that's part of the That's what makes March Madness, is giving those smaller schools an opportunity that they typically wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think it's.
I feel like you might have. I think you might have just answered my question before I proposed it, or at least in a way. I'm assuming every conference gets representation in the March Madness. Every D1 conference, at least.
Correct.
And it's through the auto pick. So essentially, if you're the champion, you get a automatic bid, is what you're
like
framing
Stetson
to.
winning the
Gotcha.
ASUN, perfect example. Where it's not like college football where you have Division I and 1AA, two different tournaments. It's all
okay.
It's all Division I. So those.
It's all Division I.
Got it.
I did not know that.
Me neither.
That's cool. I do think it's interesting that basketball has an actual tournament, though, with all these teams. There's not anything else in NCAA, right? Like that. At least
I don't know baseball's format. I don't follow it as much. So college, I'll pitch that to you, Johnny, because I think you mentioned college baseball, but football obviously is not. They're expanding to a similar style, a lot less teams. But if there is one, it's baseball. I mean, soccer, some of those other sports, I just don't know.
Look, I don't think there's any surprise that I'm not invested into this process, but I think that March Madness does bring people into tune with college basketball more so than a lot of other sports. You know, I think it's something that's really unique to the sport of basketball, and it's pretty awesome to do and to be a part of, because I think that I mean, especially at the college level, you see a lot of big notoriety around professional sports, but from the college level, I think it's something that's really unique. And who knows? Maybe you'll see us one day sitting courtside at a March Madness game.
For the Hatters.
I might be sitting there eating. Yeah, maybe it'll be a Hatters game. So that'll be cool. But until then, the bender continues.
The bender continues. The madness continues.